Hello, everybody. Time for some fun. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be logging in from. Today, we're talking about our latest feature release for AHM 1.6, and we have so many good pieces to talk about today. It's gonna be a good one. We're gonna go over plenty of features. In fact, I'm gonna throw my slide up here so we can see it. This is only a partial list, frankly. We have so many great new choices and features and improvements coming with AHM that got released on Tuesday. So if you haven't already downloaded it and started playing with it, maybe with some offline AHMs, we highly recommend it. So I'm going to open up a little chat here to make sure that anybody that's leaving some comments, I get to see those and answer any questions. As usual, always welcome questions as we're walking through things. Some of these features are especially a little technical, so we're perfectly happy kind of walking through things a little bit more, going over topics. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. So with AHM 1.6, this has been, frankly, one of our largest firmware releases for AHM in a couple of years, maybe since we launched AHM 16 and 32. This was a heap of work and was an absolute joy to work on, and we're really excited to bring it to everybody. So let's take a look at some of these features we've got here listed on the slide. So to begin with 1.6, we're adding this feature called unit stacking. And this is the general idea. And I'm gonna run through these all quickly, and then we can dive in more one by one. But unit stacking is this idea that we can have more than one AHM in a project. And we're able to sort of look after, control, and manage all these AHMs, up to 24, in fact, AHMs, all in a single instance of System Manager. Previously, when you wanted to connect to several AHMs, it required opening up either several instances of System Manager or just connecting one at a time. But now we can bring them all together and we can start treating them more like one whole, complete, larger system. So one of our tenets is scalability with AHM, and this is really leaning into that. Our ability to say, okay, you can have it, an AHM 16 and take care of the smallest cafe or a single classroom, all the way up through, okay, well, now we're going to stack up, 20 plus HM 64s, and we're going to be looking after stadiums and huge campuses and all these different kinds of projects we can look after and control and manage. So we're opening up a lot of opportunities now to have our workflow and control over all these different AHMs even more simple and quick. So that's unit stacking. And then we had a really big third-party control expansion. And this is maybe for a lot of people, especially on the integration and commercial side, right? This is one of the most exciting features, is this expansion. So previously, when we would control third-party devices, right? I have my AHM and I want to go tell another device to go do something. I can send a very simple command and say, hey, I would like, this PTZ camera. I want it to change its position, please. Thank you very much. Or change the output of this video decoder. Or perhaps I want to tell a television to do something, or a projector. We can do those kind of really simple commands. Now, with this expansion, not only can we have more longer form communications with more devices, so really kind of opening up this idea of true integration between products, but also now we can monitor and control them, as we'll see. So now I can tell devices to do things and monitor and poll what they're doing, so I always know what their status is, and I can express those to end users. So if I hit a button on my IP8 or my IP4 and I'm telling a television to turn on, I can show, yes, that TV is in fact on, or no, it's not on, or, oh, there's been an error of some kind. We can express that and control it. Uh, then we're also adding in feedback suppression for the AHM 32 and the AHM 64. And we also are introducing things called custom views, which kind of goes a little bit hand in hand with unit stacking, but it's sort of under this umbrella of these workflow improvements, along with the ganging expansion. Some of you may remember when we had the EQ ganging come out with 1.5. Now we've expanded that as well. And then these other improvements like track looping, the high jitter mode, the ability to label sockets. We've also got embedded recall between DLive and Ivanis. So now we can, if I recall a preset on AHM, I can automatically tell the Avonus or the D Live to change its scene. And they can do it vice versa. I can recall a scene on an Avonus or D Live and have it tell the AHM to change its preset. So this works really well if we want AHM and these consoles to work in tandem, where we may say, I'm going into a simple mode right now, and I need the console to either take away everything on the surface or dim its lights or make it like harder to engage with, make it look like it's off. And so that way nobody's interacting with it and it's not a distraction and nobody feels tempted to hit it, but we can still use the system through the AHM. And then the other way around is, okay, well, now I want to go into, advanced mode. I'm going to tell the console, hey, kind of liven up, wake up. We're going to start doing console like things, right? We want to open it up and say, okay, AHM's just going to be doing the distribution and we're going to let the console do the console job. So that's kind of what that idea is. And then other smaller things like the front panel engagement improvements. Sometimes we have the soft keys on the front of the AHM, 16 and 32, and we don't always want to accidentally hit it or anything like that. We want to avoid that. So now we can have a double press or a long press for a function, which makes it just a little bit more secure for those that have their AHM in a higher traffic area where they may hit it. And absolutely tiny footnote, but I know that people are really excited about, is just the ability to have longer names. So now you can have up to 16 characters in your name blocks or anywhere that has a name. So like the selectors as well, our control groups, and then of course our inputs and our zones labels. We can have longer names, especially when we start talking about this unit stacking stuff. We're having so many AHMs together, we kind of need to be able to express those appropriately. So okay, I'm going to open up System Manager right now, and that's what we're looking at is 1.6. And for the seasoned users, this is going to look very familiar, right? Right off the cuff, it's not a load different, and that's okay. But what you will notice is two things. So one is now we have this sort of like white outlined project, this recent thing that we can click on, but it's not green, it's not a unit, and it is a project. And then you'll see down here we actually have some project controls, so we can open a project, import projects, new projects. Okay, so then the question is like, so what's a project? So projects are a way for us to assert a little bit of, oops, there we go, to change our workflow a little bit. Projects are not required. They are not a part of an AHM's config. It's really a way for us to manipulate how we're seeing one AHM or many AHMs. It's a way for us to sort of look at all of this idea of stacking, right? So we can use projects. And again, even if I only have one AHM, I can use projects as a way to sort of manipulate what I'm seeing, when I'm seeing it, and how I can use it. And I'm going to show that to you. So I want to stress that while we'll go back one here, while projects are really fun and we are going to recommend that people start using projects, you can still connect directly to an AHM exactly like we're used to doing up until this point. So if I want to just directly connect to my lobby AHM 16, I can click on that and connect to it just fine. You'll also see we still have the offline simulations, which are very powerful and are nearly fully fledged AHMs running in an offline version. So we still have those available. But now with projects, when we start playing with them, we can start changing, again, this idea of workflow. So I'm actually going to open up this project that I have been working on to show you what it can look like. And then maybe we'll walk through step by step. So I have this project. I've called it Hospitality. This idea of like this is a hotel with maybe like a business center, a lobby. As you can see, there's some rooms or conference spaces, some meeting spaces that we want to use. So you'll see here, I actually have 3 AHMs that I've dropped in. I can add AHMs. By default, there's none in there, of course, and I can edit them. Again, if I just wanted to add one, I certainly could, but I can add up to 24. So I could come here and I could say, I would like to add a unit, and maybe this one is called, maybe the spare AHM, and I know that it's going to be a 32. So I can do this and it'll find any detected units that aren't already in the project. All of mine are already in here, so no more to add, but we'll add this sort of simulated one. So I'm going to add that in, and you'll see it gets added to my list, and I can add in a description, and I can change its associated color. So we have a huge palette, and this is really, again, just for organization and workflow sake. So I can, make it a color that makes sense for me. For instance, if it's just my spare, maybe let's go with like a yellow color, and I'm going to say this is going to be in, IT closet 3B. Maybe that makes sense for me. You'll see that we've got a couple of other, I try to put, the locations in the descriptions, but you can put whatever you'd like in the description that will help you better identify which AHM is which. You also see options that we can change the name of the unit or we can change the user that's logging in. By default, it's admin, but if you're using profiles with different access or permissions with them, you can have them log in as well. So I will hit close. So now we have 4, and you'll see I have all 4 AHMs available to me. You also see that I have the ability to connect simulations or just connect to the units themselves. So this connect button appears whenever it finds the AHM of that name. I can hit auto connect and it will connect to those. And if it doesn't find the AHM by that name or address, it'll just connect a simulation for us automatically, which is really helpful. So I'm going to hit auto connect and we'll see it kind of work through things. And you'll see, yep, we've got that. I'm going to connect the sim here. I have my lobby, my auxiliary AHM, and my biz center AHM, and it couldn't find my spare because it doesn't exist. I just added it, and it connected a simulation for me. The sims or the simulations or the simulated AHMs are functionally the same as offline AHMs. The biggest difference being the offline AHMs live outside of projects and they have a very specific memory of like what you were last doing to it. It's almost like the offline AHMs are like remembered as we're going between and working on other ones. I can always reopen up my offline 32 and it remembers what I was last doing. That's the biggest difference. But here, I can easily just connect to simulations. I can still do everything I'm used to doing with offline or simulated HMs, like saving their configs or making adjustments for them. And so I still have total control over them. But they're simulations here within projects because we can have so many of them running at one time. So you'll see other controls down here, like I can do multi-unit configs. So I can come in here and save all of the configs from all of my AHMs together in a single file. So if I've been working on something or making some changes, you'll see I've got a few that I've already kind of made as I've been working and building on things. I can save them all, including all their optional storages as well. So the audio files I've uploaded to them, the profiles, custom control configs, and more. I can choose to save them all together, all in one file if I would like. And these live inside of the project. So I may have different configs of AHMs for different scenarios that I may either want to save for reference later or to change down the line. So I may have one project where I'm working on several AHMs at one time, and I can use multi-configs to basically change the programming of the fleet of AHMs all at one time if I so choose. So that gives us a lot of flexibility instead of necessarily having to go to every single AHM and changing their config individually. I can just say, all right, we're going to save everybody and I'm going to restore everybody at the same time. But as I said, we're not losing any of our direct connections. So if this is like, hey, I don't want to do this, or this isn't my preferred workflow, you can always still go to configure your unit and do the save, restore, template config as we always have. We're not losing any of that. So no worries there. So you see I have multiple AHMs, I'm connected, ready to go, and I can even go over to my channels now. And this is kind of where like the fun, we start having fun with it. So I'm under channels inputs, and this is now going to maybe start looking a little bit different. So with this workflow, I think the first thing that I kind of like to show folks is that this is kind of like a little bit cleaner look, right? Um, or maybe something's just not quite the same, but you can't put your finger on it. Well, if I do this, this might look more familiar for you. So we've added this feature where you can show and hide unused or bypassed processing blocks. So right now, if you logged into AHM with 1.5 or earlier, this is what it looks like. I can see which blocks are being used, which ones aren't. I can see a lot. But for some people, this is a little visually stimulating. They don't like having this much going on. So now you can right click just about anywhere up here in the column headers, and I can hit hide or show bypassed processing. And that will just simply wipe it off the screen. We still have access to it. You'll see as I move my mouse, it's still highlighting the blocks. I can still see things, and I can still do hold command or control to punch blocks in and out. But visually, we've just hidden them so that we can focus on what we are using and not have to try to ignore what we are not using. So this is just like a really nice little change right here. And you may also see, what is this colored line around this section of inputs? What is that? Well, that is part of the unit stacking in these custom views. So right now we're looking at lobby all inputs, auxiliary all inputs. I can even start scrolling down and I can see the business center all inputs. I can click minimize all filters right here, and it'll show me, hey, here's your 4 AHMs that you currently have in this project. And I can click on the bar and expand them or minimize them as I want to look at them. And that's really nice. That can just by default, we have that. All units, all channels, where I can just go one by one and say, okay, well, what's happening over in Business Center? I may be standing in my lobby, but I want to go see what my business center is doing. So I can go do that. I can go check it out and see what's happening. Again, I'm seeing audio being processed. I can see, yep, my AMMs are going well. All this is great. Looks like a lot of stuff's muted right now, and I can minimize that. Where it really starts to become fun is when I open up a custom view, one that I've made. So you'll see I've made one here called meeting rooms, and that suddenly is going to change what's available to me. So now I have all these labels, room A, B, C, D, and E, and I can expand those, and I've put in just the inputs that are like assigned to those specific rooms, so I can organize it. And as opposed to having to scroll through hundreds of channels possibly, now I can just come in here and say, okay, just show me everything in room B. I want to see those 4 inputs. Or room D, what's going on over there? What are we doing in that section? Or, oh, let me look at C really quick. And I can take it even a step further. So I can click on manage views and I can create a new one. You'll see I have a few ones that are just only lobby or only the aux, like ones where I just wanted to see a few channels from each of those. But we can build a new one. So I'm going to hit new view, and I'm going to call this VIP. This is going to be my very important channels. So that's what the view is going to be called. And then I'll create a new filter. The filter is a new section on my screen in my channels section here. So I'm going to call this VIP. I want it to be initially open. So when I click on this view, I want it to be open so I can see all the channels. And here is where we can say, I don't want it to be all units and all channels. I'm going to deselect that, and I can click on now, set units and channels. So then you'll see up at the top here, I can actually toggle through and see all 4 of my AHMs, and I can go pull channels from any of them. So I might say, this is going to be my background music and my TV receivers from the lobby. I'm going to choose input 1 and my playback on auxiliary. Let's do a couple of handhelds on Business Center. And this spare one I just made, let's do a couple channels from there too. So I'm going to drop those in. I can associate a color. Let's do this turquoisey color. Then I'm going to do another filter, and I might say this is going to be, all else. Maybe I want to do that. I don't want it to be open, and I don't want it to be all channels and all units. So now I can kind of start going through here and clicking on these. Maybe it's all the other channels that I'm not looking at right now. Just as an example here, I'm going to drop those in. Okay, let's make that this kind of dark charcoaly gray. So I'll hit OK, and then I will hit close. You'll see I have this VIP now available, and I can come over here and say, okay, yep, VIP. And now I can see not only the channels I dropped in here, but it's also telling me which AHM they're actually associated with. So I can see lobby, auxiliary, business center, my spare. I can drop those in. So now I can start grabbing channels from any AHM and putting them into a view or a filter and see, okay, this is what's important to me right now. This is what I want to see. And I can change them on the fly. So I want to go back to my meeting rooms, or I want to go back to seeing everybody. Or let me see the one that's only aux. I just want to see these ones. I don't want to have to scroll through and find them. Perfect. I can customize it and see exactly what I need to when I want to see it. So that's a really quick overview on views. And the inputs side of the views is separate from the zones side. They function exactly the same, but I can make different views for them. So if you want the view to be across both inputs and zones, you'll have to make it on both inputs and zones. So we've got this. While we're kind of like hanging out here in workflow land, I'm going to also show you a few other things. So you may remember I can do parametric EQ ganging or this quick view. I can right click on the block and open up this quick view. And then if I hold Control or Command, I can start ganging EQs together to make relative or absolute changes. And that's a lot of fun. However, now we've expanded that. So now you can also do it with your levels. So now I can start making relative or mirrored or absolute changes across my levels. Or my delays, I can go grab these and start making an adjustment. Then I'll grab those. And our dynamics processing as well. I can open up a quick view and then gang them together and make changes. And same with the gate as well. I can go through here. So not only is it becoming even faster to be in this bird's eye view, now we're making it customized. So I want to see what I want to see when I want to see it. And then we're going to let you quickly go in, make the changes you need, and then get out. So this should really help get your projects set up, going, and moving forward at an incredibly quick rate. So we've got that. So that's, I mean, that's truly just, it's almost kind of like we're speeding past it, but I don't want to understate what a big access point this is for us. Being able to just really quickly grab things and make changes. Especially a big one we got requests was for levels and delays, right? And that's why we had the dynamics processing, was I'm setting up a system and I don't want to go through each and every single one and then make another change and then do this. This can be very tedious. Now I can just go grab it, change it. I still have this view access to me. And I can also open up this quick view to say, yeah, I actually just want to grab it. So I can hold Command or Control, right click on these blocks and start ganging them or making fast changes. But let's say I wanted something even faster than that. On two of the columns, we've given you this all change. So I can be, you'll see level and name have an underline on there on the header. When you right click on it, we have this point where I can say, I want to change the level of all of the channels. All of them toggle their mute. All of them go to 0, unity, or negative infinity. Or I can do my name and say, I want to change the color of all of the channels here. And what's important to know is that these are only included inside of the view. So in other words, this only affects channels inside of the view. Whether they're minimized or maximized, if it's in the view, this sort of all section will affect it. If I don't have the channels here, then they're not affected by the all. Of course, the channels still exist. They're still doing their own thing, but this all change isn't affected unless they're inside of this view when I click it. So now I can really quickly just mute my system or say, hey, I'm ready to go. Everybody unmute now and getting started, which is a really great, really fast way to be able to, even just turn your system on and off. Or maybe you're using AHM as a like a system processor for a large format PA to be able to just really quickly go, okay, and we're going into our testing procedure, or now we're tuning, or as we're setting up in a more integrated space. I don't want to sit here and click through and tell each one to go mute or unmute. Let's just go ahead and let's turn it all on or turn it all off so we can quickly make a change or get started with building. So we've got that. Additionally, I mentioned all those extra characters for the names, and you'll see like TV receiver 1 and TV receiver 2 have lots of characters in them. But I can kind of come through here and I can have, as I said, 16 more characters, 16 total characters rather, in my names. And you'll see the name block auto adjusts the text size so you can still read it, which lets us have much more detailed names for our inputs and zones since our systems can be so much larger. Plus, just who doesn't love more characters? So, all right, so we've got that. While we're kind of hanging out here in projects, I do love being in here, but just for time's sake, I want to kind of pivot a little bit over to the more advanced third-party control features. Um, but before I do that, I'm going to go to a page that is unit specific. So right now we're looking at channels, and we can see like channels from any AHM in the project. I can go over to configure. This is a unit specific page. In other words, I'm changing something specific about the AHM itself. So like my network settings, for instance, or which config is on the AHM. Those are very specific to each particular AHM. And you'll see here it says unit configuration for lobby. That's awesome. How do I access the other AHMs? Well, that's when we go down here and change the focus unit. So right now it's on lobby, but I can click on it and you'll see I have my other AHMs available. So I may want to go look at my business center or show me for my spare. So be sure while you're in here, if you're doing something really unit specific, that you are swapping your focus unit. Sometimes it can be, it's so fun being in this view, in the channels view, changing what we're looking at and when we're looking at it, that we just need to remind ourselves, oh, if I'm adjusting the network settings for this, I want to make sure I'm reading which one we're actually adjusting. And this goes for many pages that are unit specific because projects and workflow are all control related, right? When we're talking about audio, we're still beholden to the audio routing and patching options, right? So if we're doing, if we want audio to be processed by a particular HM, we still need to like get that audio into that HM. The project won't do it for us. So while I'm in here, you'll see right now my focus unit is lobby. I'm patching for lobby. So if I want to go change what my biz center is doing, I need to make sure I'm in biz center. We tell you both down in the corner and on every page, it's showing you which unit you're connected to. So right now we're connected to biz center. And so I can go in here and start doing my normal patching. Of course, if we're doing things like Dante or other like layer 3 sorts of solutions, it's sort of a bit of a free for all, right? We can patch audio very freely. We don't have to be overly concerned with, the point to point specifics. However, if we are using more of the layer 2 protocols, again, if you want to have audio go between AHMs, just keep in mind the same rules apply as they always do. The projects don't change that. Okay, so I mentioned that we were going to go look at third-party control stuff. So let's do that. So if I go over here into configure, you'll see we have a couple of new-ish tabs. One is security. This is formerly called external control. Security is a more fitting name, we feel. So we changed that. And this is just where you go and upload your SSL and key certificate or certificate rather, and key file. Or you can disable the external control. This is where you're doing it in the configure security tab. But what we really want to talk about is this device control. So device control is a bunch of fun. So earlier I was mentioning, as we were kind of going through the longer list of features in 1.6, was that we're really expanding how we control third-party devices. And this is kind of a huge step, really. So now, not only can I control other devices, I can be polling them. I can ask them things. I can receive feedback from those devices and then do something with it. So I've got a few set up. I believe it's in my auxiliary. Yep, there we go. In my auxiliary unit, I have some control set up. So for every AHM, for all three of them, I can connect 64 separate devices. I can be communicating with 64 separate devices. This is in addition to the 100 connections we have sort of reserved or designated for custom control, the IP controllers, and any like system manager connections, and anybody wanting to communicate just directly to us outside of device control. That is 100 TCP connections that we reserve for that. This is in addition to that 100, we have these 64 devices. And you'll see here, I've got a few devices already set up, but I can scroll down here and you'll see 64 devices. Then inside of each device, I can have 128 different controls. So I may be talking with, and you'll see I've got a few things here. So let's go to projector. This is using PJ Link. I can have talking to this particular projector. I can have 128 different controls over it, or things that I'm kind of polling or asking about or reading. That is a lot of control over any particular object. That's a lot of control. So I could say go over maybe my Sennheiser ceiling mic. Maybe I'm going over there and I have a bunch of different presets I want to change. That might be taking up some. Or you'll see some ones that I've already built, like muting the microphone, restarting it, or this little, or they have a room in use sort of notifier, or turning the voice lift on and off and noise gate. If I go over to my Shure setup, I've just got a couple of mutes here, and they've got a huge API as well. If I go to Audio Technica, I've got some automatic gain compensation and AEC and reboot, and I can go over to my video encoder too. You can see just a sampling of some of these files that we've made and played with and tested. But I have all of these different controls associated with each one. So let's say I wanted to make a new one. I can simply hit choose a slot, and then I will hit configure, and I can choose between HTTP and TCP. Uh, Again, if you want to do UDP or the really simplified control that we've already been doing, those will still be found in the normal areas like presets, in the IP controller functions and custom control function. Those are still going to exist, but they are separate from this. So let's say that I did TCP. I will hit that. I'll go to continue. I can now name the device. I can put in the address of the device. I can give it the port number. And these are all things that, other than the name, of course, the port and the handshake type, things like that, are all designated by the other manufacturer. So for instance, Shure tells us that they want to communicate at port 2202, that kind of thing, or they want to use port 43, or whether there's a handshake or not. So we can set it up this way. And then on this other tab called controls, I can go over here and start assigning what each one of the 128 controls might be. We imagine I would be really surprised if we used all 128 for every single device, but I am really excited to see how people start using all of these available controls. So let's say I click a control slot. I can very quickly hit edit. I'm going to choose, hey, this is going to be a Boolean. So it's basically going to say either this value is going to be true or it's going to be false. I can choose what that is, looking at the other manufacturer's API, and I can just punch in what they've given us. I can also change how often I want to poll. So how often I'm asking it for a value. I can give it a timeout so that'll say, if I don't hear back from you after this long, I'm going to perceive that as an error, and I can show that on an IP controller. Or I can even go read only, where I want to say, I'm not actually going to control anything. I just want to ask it what this value is, so I can light up an LED on my IP controller or otherwhere. I can do that. And similarly, if not inversely, I can have my poll time be 0 seconds. If I only want to control it, I don't want to ask about it. I don't want any feedback. I won't be asking for any feedback. We can set that time to 0 and have that function. So let me show you what one that is set up kind of looks like. So I'm going to hit cancel here, and I'm going to go to, I'm just going to click completely randomly. I'm just going to click my Sennheiser one. I happen to have a microphone here, and I'm going to hit edit. So you'll see I've got it set up. They've given me this information in their control documents. So all I had to supply was a name. So I knew what it was. And then the address where it's sitting on my network. So I have that. I'll go over to my controls, and we'll go to audio mute. And so I can hit edit, and we can see pretty simple. Manufacturers have gotten so good at writing APIs that it's so human readable that I can come in here and copy and paste. But for those that want to do the really more advanced stuff, you certainly can. So you'll see here, I've got my set true, my set false. I've told it how to go ask for those values, and I've given it a poll time of 5 seconds, so that every 5 seconds it asks, hey, is this channel muted, or is this not muted? Is it muted, or is it not muted? Every 5 seconds. Of course, you can do much longer poll times if you would like, or quicker poll times. So I can do that. And let's say, okay, I set up one, thank you. I don't want to have to type that in a bunch more times. perfectly fine. That's why we've given you the copy to and copy from. So I can quickly take this and paste it to another control slot and then start making slight adjustments from there. So I don't have to do it fresh every single time. And we can also move up and move down, so I can rearrange these controls as I would like to access them. So then before I go another step further, I want to say, okay, well, I have these controls. How do I, like, where do I assert, well, how do I use them? how do we actually do that? So I'm going to jump over to controllers here. For right now, we can assert these controls with IP controllers, the GPI and the front panel controls. And here soon, we'll have a maintenance release of custom control where you'll be able to have all these same controls I'm about to show you. So keep that in mind. So for today, we just have control of those device controls with our IP controllers, but soon it's coming to custom control. So I can click on this, and now one of my functions, and you'll see we've changed the order of the list a little bit. So now it should be easier to sort of scan your eyes across to find the function you need. But I can do device control. So I can click on that. And first I can choose the device that I'm referring to. So my Audio Technica mic, or maybe my Sennheiser one, or my Shure mic, or maybe my Visionary Solutions video equipment. I can choose that. And so like we were looking at Sennheiser, so I'll click on that. And then I choose the control. But the first one's audio mute, but I can have control of any of the other ones I've already built so far. Then I can choose if I want to toggle that function between the true and the false, or just set it true or set it false. And then furthermore, I can have the LEDs change. So because, for instance, if we did audio mute, when it's on, it's a mute. So I want it to be red. And when it's off, I'll have it be green. And I can choose the air color. We'll do purple. And so then I can open up this simulation and actually control my Sennheiser microphone, which I do have plugged in. It is functioning, so that's very good. I'm not getting any blinking purple errors. So I can have the simulation open again of the controller and start playing around with it. And as you may have seen, exactly like you can have offline AHMs and offline IP controllers, you can actually use the simulated offline control as well. So this allows you to see the controls even if you don't have an AHM. I want to be able to start it up and see, okay, when I do have my AHM and it's connecting, I want to make sure my controls are good. I can watch the controls happen on my external device and everything is good to go. So we also had that in there. But I can have this control here. And so it's really nice and really clean. So you'll see also what import and export. So this is one of the other best features about this is maybe you've been listening to me and you're thinking, there's no way I'm going to be able to program this. This is like a little bit above my head, or like I'm not a programmer, so I don't know how to do this necessarily. That's totally fine. What's fun is that we can import and export these DCF files, device control files. So DCF files. Other manufacturers, sometimes they'll call them drivers. For us, these are swappable, shareable files that you can import and export for HMs or across projects or configs that you can say, hey, like I've already built this. So if anybody else wants access to it, here you go, or I want to reuse it later. So we're going to really encourage people to use, the community forums or social media to say, hey, I've been building this. It's done. It only took me a few minutes. So here, if anybody else wants to use it for any other manufacturer, here you go. We're also taking it upon ourselves. We're working with other manufacturers to say, hey, lots of people like using both of our equipment. How can we work together to make sure people have access to our files? We have no intentions of managing an entire library. That is a significant amount of work. So we don't have any plans right now for that. But again, we've been building a few, we've been testing them. There will be a few available for download, really kind of like as samples, as, hey, we built it, it works. For right now, go ahead and build what you want off of this, sort of like a kickstart. So a sample DCF file. But we're expecting in plenty of the community, as well as other manufacturers, to say, hey, this is really cool. We want to make sure that people can just drop in these files and use the exact same equipment that they love using. Let them have access to it still and go and build in their projects and really reach that sort of new integration status, the true integration status. So I can, let's say like I've been working on my Audio Technica one and I'm ready to export it and share it or save it for other files, like config files. I can hit export and it'll let me save that file, or I can import and go find one that I've wanted to use before. And you'll also see we have this ability to enable and also this like logging option. So I can, one, if it's disabled, it won't have the communication. So if you want to like, you're monitoring the traffic and you want to slim it down, you can disable the devices. But I've got it enabled, and I can also have this logging option. So I can click that, and we even gave a special logging window. So I can have this going, and it will actually, I'll be able to see, it's talking with with my Visionary Solutions equipment, but you'll also see it'll be asking other devices like my Sennheiser and all this other equipment I have plugged in over here. And so I can sit here and watch it, and then, oh, okay, hold on, I want to pause it so I can read through it and look and see, okay, it sent the request, and maybe it's telling me back, hey, like we actually don't. I don't understand what you said to me, or there's an error here. I want to see it. We can come in and see all of these changes happening. I can see all the logging. So it's a really helpful little floating window. So while I'm in here, maybe making changes, I can keep my eye on this and look after it. I can also go to my normal sort of logs here and see them as well. I can see everything that's happening. But we think it'll be a lot easier for people to use this floating window. It's very helpful. So we've got that. And again, this control is really opening us up to a whole new idea of integration. All of this control. Not only can I communicate with so many more devices, but now I can have these long form communications. I can be polling them and asking them about things, see what they're doing or what their health is or what their status is, and then show the end user. So for the end user, it's a simple LED or a button. They're easy controls, and even for us that are building it and implementing it, now it's even easier because I can just import and export and drop things in, or just make little changes. Like, well, now I just need to change the IP address of this new project. Just doing little things like that are going to greatly increase how quickly we can go and get projects done, get them moving along, again, without having to do a bunch of license things or without having to necessarily be a programmer, but still retaining that access. And that is a really fine line that we walk, is this idea of giving access to people, making things have many features and functions, but without making it so difficult to use that the barrier for entry is really high or requires loads and loads of training to implement. For us, it's about, if you want something really simple, we have your simple interface where like you can just come in here and use it and you'll be fine. Or if you want the more advanced features, you want to come in and start making these changes, you can. You can have and assert all the control that you want over it as you see fit. So that's been a really important walk for us. So I think we're getting even closer to that with this. I mean, just like the projects and the workflow changes, and now all these like the ganging and the stacking of AHMs. Because remember, we're working across. I've got 4 AHMs that we're looking at and working with right now. This is really like greatly exponentially expanding our ability to scale AHM projects and to have them be set up even faster. So it's very exciting for us, to say the least. So if I go back over here, I'm going to throw this back up here just to make sure that you guys can see it. And just for time, we can't go through every single feature, but they're definitely worth checking out. Keeping an eye on the time here. I think I can show you one or two more, especially things like the socket labeling as well. So if I go back over, I'm going to click right there, and then we're going to bring System Manager back up. There we go. So I'm going to bring this up, and then we're going to go over to, there's 2 places I can do this. So one, I can go over to Configure and go look at either my S-Link tab or my IO port tab. And you'll see here I have a Dante cart in this AHM. I have my normal network bridge switch here, but you'll see now we also have input and output names. So I could click on this and give a nickname to every socket. So this can make patching so much faster, because now I don't have to remember, okay, it's like IO port in number 4, I can just come in here and say, I know my Dante card input number 4 is going to be, podium. I'm just going to label it podium so that when I go and patch it, it's so much easier for me to find. Or I don't have to like dig through it or accidentally click the wrong one. We can give it this nickname, and I can really quickly just say, reset everybody. Yep, everybody's nickname's going. I can also do this over in the assign patch bay. So if I'm over here, I can click on any of these socket headers here. So like local in one, I can click on that and you'll see I have all, like my normal, but although maybe some people didn't realize you could do this, you can click on the socket and see the controls, things like polarity or on the outputs or for this, like the preamp controls. You'll see a little pencil. And that's where I can click on it and go to my socket nicknames here, and I can start naming it something else. So this might be like, let's say wireless, wireless 1. I know that it's going to be a wireless 1, and I want to make sure I'm going to keep track of that. So wireless 2. Okay, great. And then I may say, I'm going to go to my local outputs, zones, local outputs, and I'm going to say this is amp 1 left. And this might be, click right, there we go, amp 2 right, and so on and so forth. So now when I'm over here patching, my life is so fast and easy now. So it's one of those things, it's one of those features that like we feel like once people see that this is an option, everybody's going to want to do it. So we're excited that AHM gets to play with it first. So really helpful to have these nicknames, make patching even quicker. If you haven't caught on yet, a big theme for today is like, how quickly can we get things done? How fast can we turn over projects, but not sacrifice, quality or, sacrifice a bunch of money or anything like that. So one last thing I'll show you is this feedback suppression. So feedback suppression was a highly requested feature, and we wanted to be able to bring that to users. So if you are using an AHM 32 or 64, so not an AHM 16, you can start using feedback suppression if you are using what was formerly called the AEC card. The AEC card, which we are now calling the Processing Expansion Module, will let you choose to do AEC or feedback suppression. So if I go over, and you can see I've even, here, let's minimize everything. I've got all these quick ones. So I have it in my Business Center AHM. And you'll see I've already kind of got it set up here. It lives on the inserts on your zones. If it's on, if you're using AEC, that's on the inserts on your inputs. So if I come over here, if I wanted to do a fresh one, I could just say, okay, click on my insert and you'll see assign feedback suppressor. So I can click on that and choose which of 8 instances of feedback suppression that I want to use. Mono or stereo, they only use up one of the instances, so no worries there. You'll see here, this is the stereo zone, and I have assigned it. It only takes up one instance of it. But then you'll see we have up to 25 bands of feedback suppression. And this is only slightly different from the feedback assistance that you have on the CQ and Q consoles, as we give you a little bit more control over things and some more bands and a few more options, right? So we're integrating this, we're on a system side where it's less about assisting you in doing and letting you just have control over it. So I have up to 25 bands across 8 instances of feedback suppression. And you'll see here, right now it's kind of taken out a few frequencies here for me. I can choose how many of these bands I want fixed. So if I want them to be live all the time, I can just say 0 and I can have 25 live bands. That's fine. You'll see they turn red. That means that it's listening and looking for things. And as I make an adjustment, clicking and dragging, or I can just type in a number to say, I want these bands to be fixed. So if we're setting up the room, I can, try to cause feedback on purpose and then set those bands and then let the rest of them be live so that I can make sure that we're always compensating. If somebody, goes off script or starts waving the microphone around, we can still have the active feedback suppression, but also know that we're already hitting the more likely feedback frequency points. So we've got that. And what's really nice is that, especially with the number of fixed and live bands, is that you can, you don't need to like try to save processing by switching from one to the other. Like, oh, hey, like this is taking way too much. Maybe you want to like just move over to regular EQ and do that. Well, I suppose you could. For us, it's no big deal whether all of the bands are live or all of them are fixed. I think they'd be all the same. They're all the same for us. So feel free to keep them all live or have a certain number of them be fixed. And then I can go through and each one and have individual changes for each band. So I've got bias cues, bias gain that I can make adjustments for. I can also adjust the cue and gain for every particular band. And you can see I can also reset it. And as a part of some of the new controls we're asserting with 1.6, this is also a function, the reset all bands. You can put that on a controller. So if you want to say like refresh the feedback suppression, all the filtering, you can let an end user refresh that and start anew. So it'll still have all of the same number of live bands, etc., but it'll kind of refresh and say, okay, now maybe we've done so much filtering. Now I kind of want to restart and kind of let it figure it out itself again. So when you choose how to do either AEC or feedback suppression, as of today, right now it's an either or situation. You are either doing AEC, acoustic echo cancellation, or feedback suppression. However, in a soon to come maintenance release, you'll be able to slot and choose how many of each instance you want. So you can have up to 12 AEC instances running, and you can have up to 8 feedback suppressors, depending on which side you want. And when we have a future maintenance release, you'll be able to choose how many of each one you want. But you can come in here and change the function of it by going to it, and you'll see I needed to make sure I changed my focus unit to the unit with the card in it. So I've got this. I can choose processing expansion. And now I can decide, okay, do you want it in AEC mode or FBS mode, feedback suppression mode? It does require a reboot. Even if it's an offline or simulated AHM, you still need to kind of like reboot it or refresh it. But then you'll have total access like normal. So that's how you get that set up. Okay. All right. So as I always want to make sure that we have time for questions. I haven't seen anything particular pop up, and I know this is loads of information. But I want to make sure that I pop up this screen just to remind people, if you want to know more about some of these features, or you're looking to just get certified with AHM, we have lots of classes coming up. I think we've got 5 between now and the end of the year. So come sign up. You can scan that little QR code. It's also on the Allen Heath website, of course, under learning. And you can sign up for them. We have bigger class registrations. So we've got loads of people that can come join in, and just a really great opportunity to come ask really specific questions during our office hours afterwards, or to earn a CTS credit if you're trying to keep your AVIXA certification as well. So don't forget, we've got those classes. And then I'm going to just like go click back over here to the feature list, so we can kind of let people look that over. We've also got our nice launch video for HM, and the help file is extraordinarily helpful with 1.6. We put a lot of work into making sure that after requests that we have, and I'm going to just to show you, to have so many more context, more applications, more information. So you can click on this, and it is riddled with good information on not only what things are, but how they are, why they are, when you might want to use something. There is tons of information. Definitely be sure to check it out. It's so good that we're going to make it available for download on the website. It is a veritable full manual in this help file. So be sure to go check it out. Look at everything that we've added here. If you ever need a reminder of like, I don't remember all the keyboard shortcuts, don't worry, there's a page for it. You can go in there and check it out and get familiar with everything again. All right, so check that out. All right, so back over here. Let's go back here, and I see something coming up. So let me go look at these here questions. Hmm. Okay, so we've got a question that's do any of they're saying your devices, I'm assuming they mean the ones in my office, are leveraging a REST endpoint. I do not have one with me right now, but certainly yes, we can kind of dig in offline and kind of take a look at that as well. So, but right, I don't have one set up with me right now. All right. I think so far, so good. Looking at time, doing pretty well. Again, if any questions have come up, please feel free to drop them into the chat. I can see them, they appear. I look at them. And as we're kind of just burning through these last couple of minutes here, really want to remind people, go download AHM 1.6 on the website. We're really excited about it. Even if you're okay, you're not doing unit stacking, and maybe you're not doing third party control, just the workflow improvements are worth moving to 1.6 on. It's such a lovely change and addition to the workflow of System Manager that was already quite fast and easy to use. Now we're sort of really laying it on thick, as we say. We're really emphasizing it. That's going to continue to be really important. That bird's eye view, key, really important. Our ability to get through systems quickly, easily, without losing functionality, really important. So, okay, all right. Haven't seen any questions come in, so I'm going to leave it there. We'll keep our eye on the comment section over the next couple of days as people start to catch up and check out the live stream. Be sure, again, if you're curious and you want to come look at the AHM certification. We'd be happy to have you. It's going to be a good time. So, we got a late question coming in. All right, so Poppy's asking, feedback suppression for HM16 in the future. That is something we are looking into right now. It's not quite as easy as a software update or a firmware update, but that is certainly something we are looking at. It is on our list. So, the upcoming maintenance release for custom control, rough order of magnitude, weeks, months, quarters, years. That's a fair question. If it could have my way, it would be like if we could just if I could snap my fingers, right? If I could snap my fingers and it would be done over the next couple of weeks. Realistically, it might be like a month or two. I don't want to commit to a time because who knows, things happen. We might want to, we may run into something, but the maintenance release will be very soon. So I'm fingers crossed, should be before the end of the month. Excuse me, end of the year. The end of the month is next week. So end of the year, that's what we're looking for, a maintenance release. So it'll be custom control 151, I believe, and we'll have device control and a couple of other quality of life improvements there as well. Okay, all right, had a few ones in there. I'll keep making sure, yep, we'll keep this QR code up here. Certainly, yep, come check it out. For everybody's time, I see we're at the top of the hour now. Thank you folks for chiming in and asking some questions. Go download 1.6. Let us know what you think. Go check out the community forums as well if you have any specific requests that you'd like to see in the future, or any DCF files you might be making or wanting along the way. So thank you all for joining. We really appreciate it and hope you have a great rest of your day.